So I had to increase our Scoia tael faction MMR somehow after playing mainly just dwarves, and Harmony's my favorite deck, so we're going to play Harmony. I like the idea of all the different guys working together, and I like how it boosts them all up. Now, I played Harmony back when whatever it's called, Young Dryad was a 3 and it first came out and it was bad, and they got really good with the double play of Waters of Broccolon and all that. But nowadays, Harmony is just like an okay deck for Scoia tael, which means it's a pretty bad deck, but we're going to play it anyway and see if we can't make it work, because it certainly does have some strengths. We're playing Great Oak for our finisher, the Waters of Broccolon. Obviously, the best thing you do with this is drop Waters of Broccolon with their Call of Harmony. These will get boosted to a 5, so get out of 4 damage removal. One will probably still die, but then you keep dropping Harmony cards in that round, and hopefully it's enough to carry you with all the Harmony engines going. And then you play Gezras, because Gezras is your big finisher, another one of them. He just boosts everything in the row. It's okay to play Gezras and Waters in different rounds if one of them secures it to you, so you can go for the longer rounds. Saskia is alright. She is a dragon, which is a unique category for the deck. You could play Synthesis instead, but I like Saskia because she offers Harmony. You just have to be careful with she spawns in Elven Deadeye, Dwarf, or Dryad to gain additional effect. She would be so much better if she spawned and played something instead of just spawned it, because it would trigger her Harmony as well as everyone else's again. The thing is, I don't think they will ever do that because there's no card that plays the tokens when it spawns them, so it's not going to happen. But if this spawned and played something, she would be so much better. We're still playing her because she's one of the better cards, one of our only bigger point swing cards because she comes down for 10. We have Heatwave. I cut something for Heatwave a while back. I don't even remember what it was at this point. But we need Heatwave because it deals with stuff that otherwise we lose to. That's pretty much it. The big one is I actually stopped playing any Foltest commander decks at all for my past 15 or 20 games, which is pretty interesting. But basically you have to Heatwave the defender and then lock the Foltest. You can also do it with poisons, but it's much slower. And we run into some scenarios and stuff, so Heatwave's always good. It also hits the big Sunset Wanderers, it hits She Who Knows, it's just so flexible. And we don't need Devotion because the only Devotion cards in Scoia tael are kind of bad. Well, they're okay if they were non-Devotion cards. They're like not great, if you know what I'm saying. Then we have the Call of Force. Call of Force is for consistency. Basically, you pick whatever category you don't already have on the board, play it so your harmonies go off. It's about what there is to it. Otherwise, you get Gezras or Great Oak. It can also be used to fetch poisons because we're playing 5 poisons total. Fall of Search is Call of Forest and Waters of Broccolon. You could include Nature's Rebuke if you wanted another target, but I like having these two. Nature's Rebuke's fine as well if you wanted to include it, so you don't have a dead Fauve at the end of the game. We have the Weeping Willow. He combines with the 2 Forest Whisperers and 2 Dried Rangers for 5 poisons in our poison package. He also has Harmony. The poisons are actually very strong now, which is one of the strengths of the deck. Harmony generates a lot of engines, but also has access to 5 poisons, and I put in Heatwave, and then you have a lot of movement. So you have control options. And the poisons land for a lot of points in the current meta, which is really good. We have the Percival. He's the Harmony too. He's the reason you play the Saber, the biggest reason. Basically what you want to do is you open Percival round 1. He'll be a 6. If the opponent's faction has something that can kill a 6, for example, you're playing monsters and they have Parasite, you just drop the Saber so it goes to an 8. Well, a 6 with 2 armor, so he can't die to that. And then if they don't answer that, he can usually help you carry round 1, which is what you really want to do, is win that round. The other thing is if you don't have him, Sabers, in round 1, Elves are less valuable if you go first, right? Because you had the Sabers to trigger the Elf activations on your Harmonies. With the Ciaran's for the move and lock. The combination is really nice. You need some control tools here because you don't want to just lose to a She Who Knows or a Full Test or something, so you want something to deal with it. Ciaran was the better one. You could play Moren, but I like the movement combination in case they have a Purify for something like, I don't know, Full Test with nothing next to him. We have Forest Whisperers, like I said, them, and the Rangers are poison. Ranger's better because Harmony. The shield order on this will never, or the Vitality order on this will never go off unless you move it with the 1 Vria Dragoon. And that's probably not going to happen. I kind of wish that the order, well, this card could use some fruits. It's definitely better than when I gave shield. The Cat Witcher. It's a Witcher, which is a unique category. It's pretty good as far as our bronzes go. Most of the bronzes in Scoia tael, especially the 4 version elf ones, are fairly low value, so it's good that we have this one here. The Harmony ones are the better ones, in my opinion. And then we have the half-elf hunters. It has Harmony. This recently went from 6 to 5 provision, so it was a very nice buff to the deck. It doesn't make the deck good or anything, or super good or anything, but it's definitely nice to have at 5. I don't know why it was at 6. Then we had Dryad Ranger, other poison. This one has Harmony. You gotta be careful with keeping the poison package and Waters of Brokilon because they're all, except for Weeping Willow, Dryad, so you won't activate the waters at all, the Harmony and the Fledglings for a while. And we have the True Trainhawks. It's a beast, it has movement, does 2 damage. The 2 damage is usually not that relevant, but it lands for 5, then offers an engine and has movement for an opponent's unit. The 1 Dragoon, just in the off chance you can actually move a Ranger and get the value from it, but it's also an offensive movement and you can do stuff with it. The most fun thing is if you have this, you can actually save this round 3 if they're playing a non-control deck, and you can move your Gezras. So normally you want to play Gezras if you're counting on him going off a lot of times. You have 3 cards left, right? So he moves back, then he moves forward and hits the opponents, and then in your last turn he'll move back and boost everything again when he's your 3rd to last play. If you save him for 2nd to last play, you can move him and then use his Ranger and move him back. You can use the Ranger, or the Dragoon, not the Ranger, to adjust your Gezras if you want to. The 2 Marauders and 2 Pyrotic Technicians for the Dwarves. Marauder is a 6. The first one's a 6 for 4, which is okay. The second one's an 8 for 4 if you have them bonded, which is good. But there's not many Bronze Dwarves that synergize with the deck. Miner's okay if you want to protect something, but I don't want to protect them that badly, and I don't want to put too many boosts on stuff. And then the Pyrotechnicians are 6 or 4, and it's the only other removal. It's the only proactive removal. This combined with Trained Hawk is how you answer a lot of early threats. So say you're playing something and you think they're going to have a Dunka, a Scoia tael deck, you play Pyrotechnician. If they play her, you just use the order and hit it with the Trained Hawk. It's one of the only ways we can reach taller cards. But this is a deck profile. I like these cards. I've played a lot of variations of Harmony. This list seems to be the best, but there's always room for improvement. Let's get into a game 1 then here. Looks like we're going up against Tactical Decision. This is what I expect to face a lot of. It's the most common deck I've been running into, along with a lot of Skellige Witchers. I think most of them are Hyperthin. It could be a mill, but I doubt it. Although the more popular Hyperthin gets, the more popular mill gets. Sorry about this loss of connection for a second here. We'll fix that right up. Can't start off with a loss from a DC. Let's change some internet settings. And there we go. Let's swap my connection to the other one. Now, as far as our hand goes, we have a lot of different categories here. So this is pretty good. We have a set of poisons. I like what we've got going here. Let's start the game. So up against Hyperthin, I expect we're going to be having a lot of trouble winning round 1. Even though we are a longer round deck, it's mill. Okay. So we have Waters and Gezras in our hands, so I think we're 1. Maybe 1. We can't get too confident because with Sunset Wanderers and Snowdrop and stuff, they can have a big swing. But I think this would be almost impossible for him to win this. There's the Sunset Wanderers moving over. Basically, as long as we save our leader ability, we should be fine for round 2. We have enough points off Harmonies, and the nice thing about Harmony is even if he banishes all of our good cards, each bronze gives us a fair amount of value. We're not really relying on the golds, although they certainly do help. Our only real concern is if he tries to push this round with a what's it called? Snowdrop. Tibor is going to pull what? What do you stack at the top of our deck? Great Oak. Alright, we don't draw Great Oak. It also makes Tibor only a 5-point play. And I'm really more concerned with the tempo here than I am about the losing our gold cards from our deck. So I don't mind that. And then we have a really good poison target here. Really, we should be putting these in the range draw for our Gezras, but we have to play Hawk melee, and then he pulled Great Oak to melee. We should have put our Half-Elf Hunter in the range draw, thinking back on this, but It's probably not going to matter because we're going to save Gezras for round 2. Ideally, we'll save him for round 2. I don't think we'll need him here. And at this point, the melee Gezras for damage is just as good as boosting our guys. And considering he might have tall removal, we'll just keep playing stuff melee. There's not really a point in row stacking other than Gezras and Oak. We lost Oak, so it doesn't really matter where we put these. Maybe we should be putting them range row for the boost, but I have a feeling he's just going to keep playing melee for Gezras to get damage value out of it. And we're not going to play him this round. We're not going to need him. If he does go for the Snowdrop and the Tactical Decision, I think I'd rather play... It's a tough one. Waters is a possibility. Let's see how many points he gets here. He doesn't have both Mage Assassins and... What's the guy's name? I forget his name every time. The guy summons off the top of deck 5. He doesn't have all those. The swing won't be super big. And we always do have our Saskia too. And we have Call. So he had both of those, but not the 5-point guy. And here's the Snowdrop order. And here Gezras is going to get more value from melee than he will from boosting if you were trying to boost. So we'll play Saskia, I think. She'll get 1, 2, 3 Harmony procs, and then she will also give us value. We want to go for the Elf, I think. He's already played Elves. Yeah, we already played Elves, so we don't want to play the Dwarf. The Dryad would be fine, but it's the weakest of the choices because it can be interacted with immediately. It's a little unfortunate we hit the Mage Assassin with a 2 damage there. Would have liked to not hit it because of Gezras going melee, if that's what we're going to end up doing, which I still don't think we will. He's going to move us. He's up by 10, that's not much. We'll drop our Marauder. Our range draw is getting fairly full here. He still has Wanderers, but it's not going to be like a 15 yet. It's going to be like a 8, 7 or an 8. This is probably for a Kingslayer. I'm not sure he's playing Teleport. Some of these decks play Teleport to return this Kingslayer to the hand. Specifically the one made from Vigo, because it gives them 3 points along with another banish. Not sure if he's doing that. We lose a Hawk, no big deal. We go Cat Witcher. If he has an answer, he'll answer Cat Witcher here. And then we can play Gezras and we'll get a double boost off of playing Witchers. If not, Cat Witcher's going to start going. He might just pass. If he does pass, he loses. I think he knows that. What's Vilgefort's going to get him? Let's see. It's going to be a Dryad. Okay. There's Wanderers. Well, Gezras seals this on even, unless he has an answer, and he's playing Mill, so he doesn't have an answer. So then we have Waters plus Call of Forest next round. I guess we were forced to play Gezras. We should have played our first guys in the ranged row. But honestly, he summons so many guys that it works out in the end anyway. Maybe we get an extra 2 points. Maybe 2 points. He doesn't have an answer to Gezras, so he's passing here. We're just waiting for him to realize that. There it is. And we go Waters of Brockle on leader ability, and that's GG, because there's no way you can beat us in round 2 like that. Just no way at all. These decks, we get a lot of value out of bronzes and don't rely on specific gold cards. They do really well versus Mill, especially if you have a good long round. Like I'm saying here, if we didn't have Waters, I'm still sure we'd win this. So we have... let's see, Fog would be bad. Yes, so we don't need Fog. We have Elf, Dwarf, and Dwarf. Not ideal, but I don't think it matters here. We'll just go Waters into Call of Harmony. Well, actually, we don't need to play it yet. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to try and get our Percival, and then, because he doesn't play removal, so we'll go for our Percival, and then our Call of Harmony. They'll give us an extra point, because we'll get the double Thrive off Percival. Normally playing the Dana doesn't gain you any extra points. Okay, so he's just going to banish it, so that entire play was irrelevant. But we'll explain this anyway. Normally playing Dana and the other cards that have Harmony doesn't matter the order, because her tag, being a relic, the only relic, will boost them, where if you play her first, she'll get boosted by them. So normally the ordering doesn't matter, but for Percival use Harmony too, so it's an extra point that way. Normally, against stuff too, you'd play it because you want to play around 4-point removal, 4 damage removal, but he doesn't have any. And we're up by 23 here. He played a 3-point play for his first play. At some point here, I expect him just to concede because, honestly, if we just play our Marauder, I'm not even sure he can beat that at that point. Renew. Is this going to be Tibor? Renew Tibor is decent, actually. That'll give him a fair amount of points, but he still has no chance.
Long live the Emperor!
You know, that's what I was going to call the Forest. But, whatever. Whatever. I was going to call the Forest that because it's the last unique category in our deck other than... Because we already have Elf and Dwarf, I think that's all we have left. Elf, Dwarf, and Dryad. But it doesn't matter. We're up by 24. I'm kind of glad this is how this first game's going. I was kind of expecting to lose a bunch of games with Harmony, to be honest here. It's not the best deck, but, you know, it's actually pretty okay. So we can win games. Mill is basically a free win for a lot of decks, though. If you have good bronze values and don't mind losing gold cards, and you have a decent long round 1, you can beat Mill. And then if you beat them round 1, that's pretty much winning the game, especially like we did here on Even. But then again, if you're playing Hyperthin, it's just, you lose if you face a Mill deck. I guess that's what you want if you play Mill. You just want the coin flip on the matchups. Maybe you can beat some other stuff too, but especially with Snowdrop and stuff, but it just seems it's not the type of deck I'd ever play. It just doesn't seem fun. Playing against it, I mean, I play these longer round decks normally, so the only time I ever lost to a Mill deck, I disconnected at turn 2 for some reason, just lost internet connection. So here we have our options. This is going to be a Pyrotechnician, I guess. They're all about the same. We're up by 23. Here comes the concede. There it is, and that'll be a GG. Getting right into a game 2 here. Going up against Koshchey. Okay, here's the thing. We have a good long round 3, but Koshchey's is better. Normally go for a short round 3, like a 5-card round 3. If that happens, we will lose the game. But here's the other thing. If they have a long round 3, I've played a lot of Koshy decks. I think you can get to around 130 points in a 10-card round 3, as long as you avoid overthriving. Something like that, and that's more than we can get. So we can't let a short round 3 happen while he has Koshchey Kranthier. We can't have a long round 3 happen while he has Koshchey Kranthier. Therefore, we have to get rid of Koshchey Kranthier round 2, which means we need to win this round, and we'll probably have to go all in round 2, or at least pretty close, because we just can't have that happen. The thing is, he might have a She Who Knows, and we don't have access to our Heat Wave right now, and our only damage is going to be from an Oak, probably from an Oak. We could access a Poison from our deck, but we have the 2 Forest Whispers in our hand, so we have some Poisons, but it's going to be rough saving those for a card, because if he just drops it, and that puts him enough ahead that our 2 Poisons don't get us a win, we'll be in trouble. So yeah, we have these 2 guys, girls I should say. I guess over Trained Hawk, we need to get as much Harmony going as fast as possible, because these Andrega Larvas and then the Witch Apprentices later on, those engines will give him a ton of value, and his point slams are bigger, so we need our engines to be bigger in order to win the round. This matchup I expect to be fairly difficult. There's an Archospore, however you say it. Man, those things in The Witcher 3 took me forever to realize that I was supposed to use a different sign on them. Don't ask me why. The rest of the stuff in the game, right, like, use Jurgen to capture the giant insectoid guides, that kind of stuff came to pretty naturally, but I never thought to change the signs I was using on the plant things, but whatever. Different game. We'll poison this. This will be good value here for poisoning. This Witch Apprentice, like we mentioned, is going to have a ton of points. I don't know really why he boosted it, is going to go tall anyway. I would have boosted something else. This just gives us 5 extra points on our poisons. I would have boosted the Archospore. Okay, so looking at the game state though, that's really nice because we can kill that at any point. Its engine value is completely nullified now, and we get a 15-point swing whenever you poison it the second time. Directory of Vol is going to lock our Percival, so we stop getting 2 Thrives a turn. Okay, again, I'm not really sure why he did that move either. Maybe he thinks we're going to move it and get the 3 Vitality, but we can save this for any time we want. Let's just get the Marauder going. Actually, it won't trigger any of our harmonies, but the option of the Force Whisper is a 17 now, so it'll give us the round 1 if he ever passes. And the longer we can hold on to that Force Whisper, maybe we need the second. If we need to poison a She Who Knows, then pull our oak from our the other tree ant from our deck and poison that instead. But then this guy's gonna get so big, this Witch Apprentice. It's kind of a rough spot. We're trying to hold on to these poisons in case he has the She Who Knows, but maybe he doesn't. A lot of people seem to just not be playing it because the threat of it enough is to mess up the opponent, which is very interesting. The fact that She Who Knows exists can make you play around it, even though they don't have it, and you can play suboptimally. Stuff like that's fascinating. For example, when Combi was popular, you had to be careful about what you kept at the right side of your hand. That was a long time ago, though. A long time ago when Combi was popular. But you had to be careful because you might want to, say, use a card in your right side of your hand, even though it's your finisher early, so it didn't Combi. Just playing around it. Then even if you didn't have the Combi, your opponent would play suboptimally. That kind of stuff's really interesting. I like those mind games. Here, though, no mind game. Drop Force Whisperer, big old poison, and that'll give us the round. This is going well. We managed to win round 1. Now for round 2, we have to force out Hpyerthin Koshchey. If we don't force that out, we're just going to lose the game. Question is, do we want to commit Waters to do it? That's the thing, because he's going to have a lot of points later on. These guys aren't bad, but I think there's a poison. So we have a set of poisons now. I like that. We have access to Waters. I think we'll try and save Waters. This could be risky. Also, these should have been melee row. I tried to click melee row, or range row. Pretty sure I clicked range row, but yeah, I guess not. I was adjusting something here. Got a message on my phone. Okay, well we misclicked the row there. Don't do that. Put those on the range row in case you're going to play Gezras like we're going to. We'll just start putting up everything else in the range row, but if we lose off of 4 points, you know why. It's because I misclicked when I was answering a text message. It wasn't even important. So, back to the game. Let's see, we have him playing Maxi. That tells me he doesn't have his... Well, it doesn't tell me he doesn't, but he probably doesn't quite have Hpyerthin Koshchey. By round 2, they don't always have it, even by round 3, but by round 2, a lot of times they don't quite have it. Especially like this guy who hasn't played Naglfar or Ornamency yet. He might not have a way to get it, and that's what we really want to do here is there's maybe a 60-ish% chance that he has it. I don't know the math on this, guys. But when I play Koshchey Hpyerthin, it seems around 2, it's around 60% of the time I have it. There's a Ratcatcher S. That's a pretty big play by him. And there's Sunset Wanderers for another 9. Now, we're just going to go until we get rid of the cards we want from his hands. We still have a decent-ish long round 3 if possible. Maybe we'll go for Gezras. See, do we want... Yeah, we'll go for a poison. We'll poison this Maxi because that's really the only thing we can do. Now, if he's playing Hpyerthin Koshchey, he's gonna... I want him to feel pushed and pressured. So he drops one of them, like this turn, the next turn. Because if it goes much further and he's playing these big tempo plays, we might be in trouble. But then again, the only thing we can really do to force it out... Like, we don't have a way to force it out, so I guess we're just going to pass. There's nothing we can do here to make him feel pressured enough to play Hpyerthin Koshchey. That's our problem. We could have kept going, but I think we're just going to cut our losses at this point. Alright, so he's going to play She Who Knows for what, 13 points of carryover? 14 points on the Gezras? No, he boosted that, so 11? He boosted by 4. So he traded a card for 11 points of carryover, I think. Hopefully it's just 11. Yeah, so 11 points of carryover for that. I guess that's worth it. Here's the problem. He's going to have Hypyerthin Koshchey. But, thankfully for us, we have Heatwave Ciaran, so we actually have answers. If we had no answers, I think this round would be a straight loss, but with access to Waters and access to Call of Harmony, by the way, I didn't redraw that last card because we draw our Waters, Flav's dead card. So with access to Waters, okay, that's not a good play by him. I mean, he's not playing poorly, that's not a strong play, that's all. It's a good thing we still have our Gezras. He's going to be our carry here. We're going to start boosting. So here's the thing, if he plays like... he would have played Dragolaris first. If he's going to have his Hypyerthin Koshchey now. Once he does that, we're going to drop this half-health Hunter that gets us to 6 guys in the ranged row with 4 Harmony engines, and then okay, we're going to lose one of them, so we'll still do that. We just need maximum Harmony value. And then we're going to play Gezras as our third to last play. It's usually what I like to do, because at that point, if he's your third to last card, you play melee, he boosts range, damages at the end of your last turn, he boosts your range row again. So that way he's out for only 3 turns. Less likely we have a removal saved, and he gets 2 boosts of Euro if possible. There's the Ownermancy. For the Hypyerthin, does have the Koshchey. We could lock... Alright, that actually puts it out of Oak range. Just a little annoying. But easier if we could just Oak that, but I guess we'll get more value from our Harmonies this way. We'll just lock and move that one. I guess we have to Heatwave the next one, because Oak still can't be in range. Heatwaving it will put us down quite a bit on tempo, but we have Gezras, and that's really what we're counting on, is that I don't think he has a removal for Gezras. He's already played his damage crone, and usually that's their big removal play. We can actually just move this guy to the melee row, and he can only thrive 3 times now? And he might have to, and if he has Genkens, he has to play them between relics, so we're going to have to go melee too. This way we can save our Heat Wave to banish the Ketcheras, because I think we get more points this way. And plus now Gezras is better, so this gives us 2 more points from our Gezras here, supposing this works. And then it gives him, we'll see if it's a Gen, well there's the one Genkan. So we'll see what the difference is here. We'll count at the end. Another Genkan. Okay, so we saved, essentially he's gonna have 4 extra points from us 10 extra points from us not heat waving that. And we got 2 extra points. So he got 2 more points out of that overall, but then we can heat wave a 15. So really that was definitely the play. That was good. We will hit, I guess we hit 8. I don't really want to kill something in melee row, because then he could get points on Koshchey, but we don't have a choice, because I mean, we could have hit for 7, but we probably should hit for 7 on Oak. But we're running out of time. And we have a heat wave for 14. If this is Ozrel, by the way, the reason we hit the Doomed guy is because if his Genkens go to the graveyard, he has an Ozrel target, but he still does in She Who Knows. So it was just good practice. I don't think he has Ozrel. If he does, we lose though, I think. Yeah, we lose if he has it. But if he had it, I think we already played it. And he might one of those people just playing ghouls. Because I've seen a lot of people just play ghouls for Genkan over Ozrels. But you can get the ghouls, especially if you play teleport, to be worth just as much as an Ozrel. Because a Genkan's a 9, right? And you ghoul that, gives you 10 points. Your biggest card is Ratcatcheress, but you can't guarantee that goes up, so your biggest consistent card is going to be a 10-point She Who Knows. And an Ozrel that's not that much bigger than a ghoul. And actually, we'll take the game with the Heat Wave. That was a close one. Gezras coming in clutch here, that's for sure. That was a lot of fun. I didn't quite expect to win that one, especially after our round 2 push sort of got stalled out. It would have been much better if we, the round 2 push, if we didn't misclick our guy. But it worked out. Now here we go. This time I doubt it's mill. There's not that many mill decks. It's probably Hyperthin. This matchup I'm a little concerned about, which is really the problem with this deck is that if you lose the round 1 and even a longer round 1, Hyperthin, look, it has 4 cards. They're going to be Yennefer, Triss, probably a Vilgefortz, and Zartheus. Against that, we just cannot generate enough points. Even if we have everything perfect in our hand. We have Saskia, Call of Harmony still available, Waters, and Heatwave is probably our best 4. We can't compete with that. So what we're going to have to do is win round 1. And then round 2 we have to force all this stuff out. That's really the only play we have. Forcing them out because we could go to a longer round 3, but even a longer round 3, that's like 56 points typically around for that combination of his 4 cards. In a round 3, if it's not 10 cards, we're in trouble against that. And even in 10 cards, if he has 6 cards that are averaging, like, say, 8 points, he's already over 100 points. And the Triss removal will be pretty bad for us. So I think our play is to bleed them out round 2. We can do a very strong bleed round 2 as long as we are careful. I think if we can force out his cards and save Call of Harmony round 3, we'll be okay. So Waters round 2 is probably our play. We really are going to have to kind of go all in here to try and go for the strategy. There's a Snowdrop. I imagine he'll just go for his leader here. If he doesn't, we'll lock this because it's the best lock target. Yeah, he's going to go for it. Everyone kind of does. I've run into a couple people who save the Snowdrop or the leader ability after the Snowdrop play. I honestly don't know why. Poison value here is going to be pretty big in winning this round. His Dead Man's Tongue onto this. Look at that. Now that's value. We were able to come back against this only because, so far, he didn't put any of his Mage Assassins. Or what's the guy? I never look up his name. The guy who comes off the top deck who's a 5. He didn't put any of them on his deck so far. Which means if he's playing them, he's in a lot of trouble because he didn't get their activations off. Now, he could be playing Blightmakers. Gotta keep that in mind. So we'll try and stay ahead here. Right now, we're going to have to stay ahead. Sunset Wanderers is big, but we have access with our poison with Call of the Forest. I don't really want to because we're going to need it for Gezras or Oak probably. But poisoning this Snowdrop is a play we have. I don't want to, but it's a play we have. Ideally, he plays something... Okay, that's actually even more ideal. He's just going to pass. So we have an 8-card round 2 to push out his stuff with, and he no longer has Snowdrop Leader. He does have Sunset Wanderers, though. I would like Waters. I think going all in round 2 here's the play. If we don't get Waters, it's going to be hard, though. So we still have... I don't really want 2 Marauders. We don't have Waters except by Fauve. And then we don't have Gezras if we do that. It's a tough call going all in here. I think it's the play. The thing is, if we mess this up, we lose the game because he just kills us round 3 with Hyperthin stuff. I think it's the play, though. We'll go Fauve and go Waters and Call of Harmony, and that'll be that. I think we have to do this. It's a rough decision to have to make, but we're going to go for it. Up by 20. He does have his Sunset Wanderers. I'm kind of curious because if he's not playing Mage Assassins and he's playing whatever that guy is, he didn't put him on top of the deck either. There's an Elba Armored Cavalry. Maybe he's playing the guy who deploys, put a card back in your deck, and then draws you card and puts one on the bottom of your deck. I've seen him too. He might be playing that. But it puts on the bottom of the deck, so it's not as big a tempo play. I've seen some people do that. Oh, there's Hpyerthin. He actually drew it. That's really good for us that he drew that card. So, we're we're just going to drop another Harmony engine. We just need as much Harmony as possible. 4 of them is quite a lot, to be honest. Then we have our Marauder's going to come down. Marauder, and then we have our Cat Witcher. Hpyerthin is not really going to have a target to lock, so honestly he's only here for the elf trigger. We have no elves yet. Imperial Golem's going to hit probably about a 4. Probably a 4. Yeah, okay, so it's an 8 for 6. That's not the worst thing ever. Also not the best thing ever, it's not no Blight Maker. We'll drop this guy. We're setting up for a big Oak for our finisher. And if he does have any of his big plays, say Yennefer or Zarthius, and they get lucky and boost by Tibor, and Tibor's on his deck, then, oh, Geralt of Rivia. Did not see that one coming. It makes sense in the meta, though. There's Sunset Wanderers. So he's caught up with us. I don't like that. But Cat Witcher should start getting some value. The best we can do for Hpyerthin is, if here we can move something to the ranged row so Cat Witcher can hit it again. That's his best use here. Yeah, that's going to be his best use. He might just kill our Cat Witcher, though. Should also not be good. There's the Triss. One of his big plays down. That's nice. And he hits one of these guys. Okay, that's not bad. We lose our Cat Witcher. Up a couple points. Hpyerthin's our next play. We're going to try and save Oak. Now, Imperial Golem, this might be an Imperial Golem with a Seer deck. I've seen a Seer decks where they play their big play, like the Imperial Golem, or they run Imperial Golem and Tibor, and then they put one at the bottom of the deck with a Seer, as the only card in the deck, maybe. But honestly, I'm really surprised this guy's not playing Mage Assassins. Okay, this swap's going to be, what, 14 points here? Let's keep it a minute. Hpyerthin's going to land for 10. Oak's going to land for quite a bit because you got the Harmonies with it. Just hit Evil Eye, which is up 14. I'm surprised he didn't have Mage Assassins. I'm not sure how he's Hyperthinning down to 1, or 1 unit at least. Zarthius, if that hits something big, we might be in trouble. Okay, just to he's playing that guy. That's just Alchemist. Guess we'll Heatwave this Sunset Wanderers. And at this point, he needs 15. We forced out all his big plays to 11 Yennefer, and there's Yennefer. So as long as this... I'm pretty sure he's playing a Seer deck, so it isn't going to get more than 10 points.
Best yield now.
Oh, there's a Mage Assassin. So that deck must be pretty awful at this point. There's another Mage Assassin in his hand. Man, he just went too early. You can't play the combos if you don't have those in your hand. It just ruins your deck. I'm having a lot of fun here. Let's play one more. Ooh, this should be interesting. Precision Strike. If this is a Shiryu deck, we're going to be in a lot of trouble round 3. Shiryu or Scorch would be a problem for us. Look, I'm saying though, I'm having a lot of fun playing this deck. I honestly didn't expect to get too many wins here. I kind of expected for like 2 wins, 2 losses type of thing. But we're on a roll. We'll keep going. Our MMR was not that low. We played Dwarves, but we were still around 2,400. So... I mean, I guess the deck works. I guess it works. We'll see. I'm sure it's not the best deck. Don't think we'd climb too high with it, but you know what? Harmony's my favorite, so we're gonna keep playing it. I always say we can play until we lose, but the last time I told someone that, I won 9 games in a row. Yeah, that wasn't great. I was late to something. But we're gonna just do one more here. Play some more Harmony games afterward. Off of video, just for fun. Not right now, though. So if there is his Cat Witcher. Is this a heavy movement deck? I don't know why else you'd play Cat Witcher now.
But my fate forbids it.
Alright, so if he activates his guy, there's a chance if he activates his Pyrotechnician, there's a chance that our Pyrotechnician, then our Pyrotechnician is worth way more than his. So this movement, is this an engine overload deck? That'd be pretty interesting. Oh, we hit his. It's not good. We'll poison this. I really wanted the dwarf to hit that, or to hit the Cat Witcher, but hit that guy. There's a sentry, so he's going for a lot of... This looks like movement engine overload. Haven't seen very much of this aura at all, really. But we're going to have to deal with some of these. We have the control tools, we have a lock, we have another poison, and Fob can get us a second poison, or it can get us a Hawk to move with. Another Sentry, we have to get rid of one of these now. I think it's time for Hpyerthin. +2. The thing with Hpyerthin is when we lock one, the one will boost it, so he gets a point out of it. Better than getting a point every turn, though. We'll lock the weaker one in case we kill the bigger one with poisons. Although we should have actually locked the other one, because when it moves, it would have been boosted to a 6, and the poison's worth more. Heatwave on Cat Witcher is an option, because I don't think he's going to be too tall outside of this. And we do have the 2 poisons still. Yeah, we should have moved the other one, technically. The other Sentry, because the first Sentry, the bigger Sentry when it moves turns to a 6, and then the poisons are worth more than the 5s here. We weren't planning on really using those poisons. I was just saying that's an option we could call the forced one. But here I think we will go for a movement instead. If we move his guy to the ranged row, I think he will stop being all of his value. So let's go for a Hawk, I think. We don't have a Beast. Yeah, we'll go for a Hawk. It thins our deck out of one of our cards. It's not super good. So we'll go for a Hawk, sets up a Harmony Engine, procs our guys, moves the Sentry to the melee row. I think he's more focused around moving his own guys rather than ours. We're pushing him pretty close on even. He might be concerned. Yeah, I was just going to say, we're pushing him pretty hard on even. He might want to go for a pass. We'll drop this. That'll get us the round. Now, I'm not sure entirely what he's playing. Could be playing some type of no unit round 3. In which case, we're in a decent enough situation, because the only thing we have is Heatwave, and Oak can boost itself instead of doing damage. So I'm pretty curious what he's playing. His hand's looking good, not gonna lie. The only thing missing is water, so we have water to go for a round 2 win. No waters, I think we'll just pass for round 3. I think our round 3 is stronger than his. But we do have to be careful. He played an All God, so he's gonna have a 5-point Shiryu. So we have to play around that. As long as it's not a crazy Shiryu, we're probably okay. So we'll go for a round 3. If we had waters, we'd try and 2-0 him here. Our hand's just so good to not do that. But without waters, it's going to be hard because we have very poor early plays. You know what I'm saying? We can't just drop Oak or Gezras first. We could drop Saskia and Hawk, but it only gives us 3 units. Then we're in a Cat Witcher, and I think our chances are better going to round 3 and playing around a Shiryu as best we can. Alright, Waters and Gezras. Oh, we didn't have Gezras earlier. I meant the poison guy. The Forest Protector. I'm not sure why I said Gezras. I don't know why I thought we had him in our hand. We didn't. This looks good. We have a lot of categories. There's Dunka. We can't kill Dunka, so he's going to get a lot of value out of her. That's fine. We go for our typical here, except we're not going to use our leader ability. Here's why, is that if he's going to have a Shiryu, I'm not setting up 2 5-point engines from the Shiryu right away. We're just not going to do it. So we'll go for Waters. And anyway, his removal here is going to be a 5 from Rebuke. So even if we boost up to a 5, the reason you normally do that is to protect against 4 damage removal on your Young Dryads. But if we do that, his removal is going to be, like I said, Nature's Rebuke. There it is. If we do boost to a 5, Rebuke still hits it. And this way we play around him just blowing our Waters of Brocklon out with a Shiryu. So like I said, we want to get this to... We want to get these guys, these Young Dryads and such, as high as possible. We'll move her so we can't use the order to set up a Shiryu. And we want to just try and boost our guys to different numbers, so it's much harder for him to Shiryu everything. When we play Saskia, we might have a problem. Because Saskia, when we play her, she'll make probably a 3. There's a huge Sunset Wanderers. Usually you don't see this high of Sunset Wanderers outside of Nilfgaard or Skellige. I'm guessing he played... Well, he wouldn't have played Algodnet. We'll poison it. It's a empty threat. We don't have a second poison. But I want to play him in the main ranged row to get Gezras better. And then we're going to poison the biggest thing just for a threat. Intimidation factor, that's what it is. So we have Saskia coming up. That's another Harmony. We play our Saskias when we're in danger from his Shrew the most. So there's Vanadane. Oh, is this gonna be a Verniso? Isengrim? I'm really concerned, or not concerned, I'm really interested what his deck here is here. We'll play this Marauder. We could have played Saskia, but I don't, because I think he's getting ready for a... in case he has a Shrew. So now we have a 6. He has 2 charges. This is going to be the rough turn. If he has his... what's it called? So the reason we waited for Saskia is we wanted dwarf activations on our harmonies, right? So if we play Marauder after Saskia, we don't get them because we have a dwarf token. We could have made a Dryad or an Elf token, but they're not as good. Especially in the Elf token in particular, we still have the Elf category left. We don't have one, so we could have. Okay, so that tells me there's no Shrew in his hand. If he had a Shrew, he would have played it there. That's fantastic. So I think we got this then. I'm guessing he has another... he's going to set up another Vanadane Waylay. And then maybe he has a Vernisel Isengrim. I'm honestly very intrigued by his deck. Very intrigued indeed. I thought it was a Shrew. So Gezras here will boost. Like I said, you usually want to keep a Cat Witcher because Cat Witcher will get answered. And then Gezras will trigger your harmonies again, 2 with the Witchers, so it's one of the better bronzes to keep for round 3. Usually you don't want to keep more than one of a category, but that is an exception, if you know that the card's going to be answered. We're probably going to lose our Adana for Heatwave or something, because she's so big. That puts us down a bit, but if he does that, you can't get Gezras. Gezras hits for 5 and boosts us for 6 next turn, so it's 11, 15, 16 if you get rid of Gezras. It's 14 if you get rid of Dana. Getting rid of Gezras is the better play, but it feels worse. He came to the same conclusion. That's what I'd expect. Now we're going to drop our Oak here. No Harmony, sadly. I think we'll just kill off one of these tokens. I think he's going for token stuff, so we'll just kill one off. And that'll be a 15-point Great Oak. Pretty solid. Coming to the end of the game here, his last card is Novigradian Justice. Honestly, I have no idea what his deck is. Completely honest with you, I have literally no idea what it is. Which makes me more intrigued, but looks like it's not good enough to win the game here. It's pretty decent. If he had 2 Sentinels in his deck and pulled them out, he'd be a lot closer. This Heatwave is going to be 14, so not quite. Let's just cast this then. Yeah, if he had 2 more Sentinels, it wasn't quite enough. What do I think of the deck then? It's pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's going to carry me to 2500 or anything. I don't think we can get that high with this. But it was better than I expected. The thing with it is, if you want to win versus a lot of these meta decks, you have to be willing to go all in round 2 sometimes. That's the thing. Because you want to win 2 long rounds. Ideally is what you want to do. But against some of the current decks, you can't win a long round 3. Even with all the Harmony stuff. Usually you want to try to, but the problem is with Sunset Wanderers, Snowdrop, Tactical Decision, they have a 32-point swing, which is Tactical Decision, and the Mage Assassins and stuff. You have to watch out for that, and then they have Sunset Wanderers on top of that. You can be forced, you can lose round 2, or round 1 pretty easily, even with your long round stuff. But that's where you have to evaluate your poisons and stuff, so sometimes you'll be forced to a shorter round 3. In a shorter round 3, you want to save Leader and Waters, but sometimes they'll try and force a 2-round game, and that's when the game gets pretty rough. But if you can save Waters or Leader ability, it should be enough for a shorter round 3, unless you're against something like Hyperthin where you just won't beat it. In those cases, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to go for 2 all in on 2 longer rounds, round 1 and 2, against some of these current decks to win. That's the only thing, is you have to be prepared to commit stuff a lot of the times that you don't normally want to commit just to beat these decks, but it's capable of doing so. Now, as far as card changes, I've settled on this list. I think this is the best version I've found. There's probably something you can change. I like Great Oak. Great Oak, it's such a good finisher, but it's not as good as some of the other big cards nowadays, right? And if people are playing removal to deal with your engines, mainly just all your harmonies. They can't probably deal with them all. So the thing with Oak is it's bad in a short round when you don't have a lot of guys. And that's something you want to be careful of. So if you're going to go into a really short round, he might not be the best card, but he's still good. Not most stuff in the deck doesn't come down for a lot of value without the harmonies. I really like Gezras. I think playing without Gezras is probably not great, but Saskia is a card you can change out for something if you want. She is one of our better plays for points. When she comes down, it comes down for 10. But if you don't like her, you can use something else instead. She isn't the best card, that's for sure. You could play Wanderers here, for example. The only reason we're not playing Wanderers is because it gets pretty awkward. Because you have to be careful of, like every deck has to be careful of what you play to get Wanderers the biggest, but here we have to be careful of the categories, and it makes it a little more awkward than I like. This could easily be Wanderers if you wanted to, if you like playing it. That's the one swap I would suggest people make. If you like Sunset Wanderers, Saskia for Sunset Wanderers is good, but having the Dragon category is really useful. Then we have Fauve, Weeping Willow. These are all... The only thing I'd like to say here is if you want another category, because we have Dragoon, Half-Elf Hunters, and Siaran for Elves, the best category to add that's pretty easy is you can put in a Dwarven Chariot because it's a machine. That's pretty useful. The thing is you don't get much value off the armor, and it also makes a dwarf, so you have to activate your harmonies with dwarves before you play Chariot if you're using it. But I've played Chariot before, it's pretty good. The thing is, you probably cut one Forest Whisper, so you have the 4 poisons, and then add a Chariot. That's what I would do for it, but I like having the 5 poisons over the Chariot. That's up to you. If you don't like the poisons at all, you could cut the 2 Whisperers and just have the Weeping Willows and Rangers. Because they have Harmony, you're not going to remove them. But you could remove the Forest Whisperers for Dwarven Chariots if you want more Harmony value from another category. That's another option. As far as the rest of it, I think the rest of it's pretty standard and solid. The only thing is if you want to change the 4 provisions cards, say you don't want 2 Technicians and 2 Marauders because the Dwarves aren't that good. They're alright, but they're not amazing. You could change them for something else. Miner, like I said, is a good one. As you can put Miner in instead, and you can use it to protect your Catwitcher or your Gezras. That's pretty solid. He's a decent card to put in instead of these if you like him better. I recommend keeping Pyrotechnician. It's our only proactive, really way to remove stuff. If you want to swap Miner and Marauder. But yeah, that's the deck. Those are the changes that I would consider making. I like it how it is, but those are the other ones you could change. And the last note is, if you do want another target for Fauve, again, you'd probably cut a Forest Whisperer for a Nature's Rebuke if you wanted that target for Fauve. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.